Today we're going to be working on Leetcode question number 341. Flatten nested list iterator. So you have been given a nested list of integers called NestedIlist. Okay, each element is either an integer or a list whose elements may also be integers or other lists, and those other lists are gonna have more integers. So either it's gonna be an integer or a nested nest of an integer. So implement an iterator to flatten it. So there could be one integer, there could be one list, there could be a list of integers. Okay, so implement the nested iterator. So we're gonna have the initializer called the nested iterator. We're gonna have a next, which is gonna say that okay, returns the next integer in the nested list, and has next function, which is gonna return true if it has a next integer, and otherwise it's gonna return false. So in this case, the first one is a list, the second one is just an integer, and the other one is a list of integer. So we're gonna just flatten it out and say 1 1 2 1 1. So for this one we will be using a stack. So we're gonna define our stack so that we can, whether it's an integer or a list of integer, we're just gonna put it into the stack so that we can get the flattened out values. So the type of the stack is going to be again nested iterator. Actually, it's going to be this one, NestedInteger. Okay, we're going to call it stack is equal to new array dq dq. Okay, so in our iterator, basically we're just gonna say that what we're gonna be doing is like in the initializer, this constructor, we're gonna be using a helper function. We're gonna call it prepare stack, and we're gonna send this nested, whatever this nested list is, we're gonna send it in that. What this will do is like it's gonna basically put everything in there in the stack. So all we are doing here is like taking that data structure where we can have integers or list of integers to a stack. Prepare stack. Okay, prepare stack is a function, so list of nested integer, let's call it nested list. Okay, for int I equals to 0. Actually we're gonna go from the last one. Okay, so that we can, when we are pushing it into the stack, it's gonna change the direction of it. So let's just put it from the last one, so that will be nested list dot size -1, I is greater than equal to 0, and I negative. Okay, and then the stack dot push nested list not get of I. So we are taking everything from the list and putting it into the stack. In the next one, the way we're going to be doing the nest is like we're going to actually call the has function. We're going to make use of that, and then if once we are like basically we're gonna do the sanity check here that what we are gonna be sending the next for does have a next. So we're gonna say has next, and if it does not have has next, we're gonna be returning null. Otherwise it's just gonna be stack.pop dot get integer. Okay, the last thing we want to do is hasNext, right? In order to know the hasNext, what we're gonna do is like we're gonna basically, the way we check the stack is like the stack is empty or not. That's one thing we want to do. And also the stack does not have to, it shouldn't be empty. And the other thing we want to make sure is that the stack, when you peek it, it is integer or not. So we want to make sure that this is integer. While these things are true, we're gonna say that the list of nested integer list is basically equal to stack dot pop and then get the list. Okay, and then we're gonna again send that list to that prepare stack, which puts everything into the into the stack. So what is happening in the prepare stack is like we're taking the elements and just putting them into the stack, whether they are integers or they are lists. So hasNext is the place where we are going to make sure that if this is not an integer, then we're going to process it. The way we're going to process it is like, because we know it's not an integer, it's a list. So we're going to take the list and put and get the list. So once we get the list, we'll send it again to this helper function, and that's going to actually take that list and kind of flatten it out again. So and then we can just return while this is like, oh, while this becomes false, and hopefully this is still has the value. Even if it does not have the value, it's gonna tell if it is empty or not, because that's what we are doing here. We are not actually returning the element, we are just returning the stack is empty. We're just giving it a boolean value that whether or not it's empty or not. Looking good. And it works.